There's a term, this is Wednesday, there's a term that the Jews know about this Wednesday. They call it the Spy Wednesday. I learned this from the life of Solomon. Solomon and his brother Adonijah. Have you heard those names?
What are you talking about?
Adonijah was the firstborn son of David. And Solomon was 17, was it? I gave it to you before. I think he had 17 children.
Wow.
And Solomon was like the 13th or 14th. And Adonijah was the first. So naturally the heir to become king will be the firstborn. So Adonijah was very envious when that had happened. It was Solomon who got anointed to succeed David. And the reason I mention this is, if you read the story of Solomon, Adonijah, and David, you will encounter a Spy Wednesday. And what is this Spy Wednesday? There's what they call the feast of the Azims. What the Jews, or the Hebrews, call Azims is the unleavened bread. The unleavened bread. Guess he slept for the night in Bethany, right? That was Tuesday. Now it's Wednesday. Now Jesus went to another. He went back to Bethania. So Jesus went back to Bethania. There's so much confusion about the Mary that anointed the feet of Jesus. Some people say it's Mary Magdalene. A lot of people think it was Mary Magdalene. To resolve this, go to Mark 14, 1 and 3. Mark 14, 1 and 3. You go to Mark chapter 14, verses 1 and 3. You will have here in the house of Simon the leper. The house of Simon the leper. What happened here in the house of Simon the leper? There was this woman again who carried an alabaster.
There's a beautiful song that I heard about this.
Now it will be clear to you. I told you before that Mary, the sister of Martha, anointed the feet of Jesus. Guess what? In Bethany. Right? I erased it over. It was in Bethany, wasn't it? Where Lazarus was raised from the dead.
Wasn't that the same sheep oil?
No. Yeah, I mean in Bethania, yeah, that's what it's, yeah. Now he's in another house. Now Jesus was in the house of Simon the leper. who, by the way, was a Pharisee. Okay? He was a Pharisee. And then, a woman, the Bible says a woman carried an alabaster. Now, this woman is Mary Magdalene. So he was anointed twice during that week. That's why there's a lot of confusion. I was confused myself. I had to study and search for this. What really happened? So that this is in another house, the house of Simon the leper, who was a Pharisee. This is where the Pharisees, the other Pharisees present, they were saying, if this is a real prophet, he would know that this woman is not fit, is not supposed to be near the prophet. Remember they made that comment? I also checked on Mary Magdalene whether she was a prostitute.
No.
Actually not. She wasn't. She was just caught in adultery. But she was not the prostitute.
She was the one they about to stone.
That's another thing. Is that another one, another woman? I haven't checked that one out. But she was not prostitute, really. She was a woman of ill repute, but not really like what we think. But that's not the point here. The point here is he was anointed 2 times. And both in Bethania. The other one was happened where he raised Lazarus from the dead. And the second one, the first one was in the house in Bethania, close to Bethany. And this one was the house of Simon the leper, who was a Pharisee. Now, in order to understand this, you need to read the Church Fathers. I consulted Origen, of course Chrysostom, and Theophilus. 3 of them, Origen, Chrysostom, and Theophilus. And also St. Augustine and Gregory. So there were 2 anointings, one on Saturday and one on Wednesday. By the way, Mary Magdalene, let me see, is from Bethany. This Mary is from Bethany. Who is the Magdalene? St. Thomas Aquinas did not come down on one side or the other of the question, so there's clearly room for doubt. Now, go to Mark 14, chapter 10. That's the Bible verse I put here. Now, the question is, why is this called Spy Wednesday? It's called Spy Wednesday because that's when Judas, it was Wednesday when Judas actually conspired with the temple guards that he would turn the Messiah over to them. Another detail is this. How much did they pay Judas?
30.
Do you know the significance of 30 silver pieces?
The slave.
That's what you pay for a slave. 30 silver pieces. Okay? So at that time, during the Bible times, if you want to buy a slave, all you do is pay 30 pieces of silver. And that's what they paid Judas. Now, so again, it's called Spy Wednesday because that's when Judas conspired with the temple priests on how to hand Jesus over. Holy Thursday. The church fathers did not put holy anywhere in the days except starting Thursday. You see, I was just saying Wednesday, I was just saying Tuesday, Monday. But now, Thursday, I put holy, because that's how the church fathers put it. This is Mark 14:12. I'm giving you the Bible verses. Now what happened here? The Passover, right? Passover. Is it all clear to you what Passover means? Why is it Passover? What is overpassing?
Death.
The black smoke that came from Egypt.
But in remembrance of the Egypt when
Yeah,
it
in
Passover,
Yeah.
death.
And then all you do is put the blood of the lamb and you'll be saved. You will not, it will pass you by. That's why it's called Passover. And that Thursday is supposed to be the night when you have to have this Passover meal. Remember, in the Jews they have this boy commented, when is this evening different from any other evening? Because that's the night when they commemorate the passing of death for the firstborn of Egypt. Now what happened here? They had the Last Supper. They had the Last Supper. Now think about this. I don't know if you have given thought about this. Jesus ate Thursday night. Did he ever eat again until Calvary?
Wasn't he showing us the supper, the Last Supper?
So it's the last.
Because I don't think he went to Bethany for the night after this. See, the Last Supper, remember he asked his apostles, go and you'll find a man, right? And then there's a place, get that place, prepare the meal. They had to slaughter a lamb, actually. They actually ate a whole lamb that night. They ate quite a bit. I've been blessed having experienced eating the very same sort of thing that they ate for the Last Supper, including the bitter herbs. I didn't like them. I didn't like the supper. I'd rather eat in Nevada Diner.
They had it here twice.
They had these bitter herbs that you have to put in the dip, then eat it.
Is it lemon or bitter herbs?
It's really bitter.
Well, you
Yeah.
eat the egg right away, you don't feel it.
I don't know, but it was really bitter.
Yeah.
So they had the Last Supper. What else did they do after the Last Supper? You know, they had the Last Supper in the upper room. And after dinner, they descended down because they were in the upper room. They descended down. Now below that upper room, do you know who's there?
David.
That's the tomb of David. It's actually sitting on top of the tomb of David, that upper room. So they had to descend down, going where? To the Mount of Olives. This is the part that's familiar to many people. This part is the familiar thing to people. But prior to this, Very few would really know.
What, at what point do we get to wash their feet?
Oh, that's in the Last Supper. Okay, let's put that.
That was the ultimate service. I mean, not really the ultimate.
Yeah. Maybe what we can do next week is we will wash each other's feet.
Yeah.
On a voluntary basis. Whose feet you want to wash?
Mine.
And then before washing, you say three things. You say three things. You say, I love you, I forgive you, please forgive me. Then you wash the feet. And then Mount of Olives. There's a garden here. Gethsemane. This part is familiar to many people now. What happened here?
Yeah.
But I will give you more details. It's in the Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus was arrested. This is where Judas kissed him. That's why we have the saying, the kiss of Judas. Now, it was after dinner, right? It was after dinner. So, it must be very late. They were in, when Jesus was arrested, it was late. Now, you know how the politicians, even to this day, are. When it's so late, they cannot see you. You have to wait until next day. What happened was, they brought Jesus to the temple. Who was the priest, the temple priest that year? Do you remember? Caiaphas. Caiaphas, yeah. And what happened? Caiaphas couldn't see the Messiah. He was already resting for the day. It was late at night. So what did they do to Jesus? They threw him in a dungeon. They threw him in a dungeon overnight. It's like what happened to John the Baptist. John the Baptist was actually in the dungeon for a while. And that's where Jesus spent the night. He couldn't get back to Bethany because he was under arrest. Came Good Friday. So Jesus arrested. Kept in a dungeon. He was actually confined in a dungeon. You know what a dungeon is?
The basement.
Basement would be better because basement has steps. Okay, so what happened next? Friday. Can I erase this?